Hi, everybody. It's me, Carol, from Healthcare Potholes with Christian Faith. Going to keep this sort of on the short side. I was kind of thinking what to talk about today. First things, I want to say that Maxwell, my Dalmatian that had surgery last Friday, is on the mend. He's doing good, feeling a lot better, looking a lot better, starting to put on a pound here, a pound there. Um, Still have a little irpiness with him, not certain. I think he's just drinking too fast. And other than that, he's improved. So he'll have to have that lipoma removed eventually here pretty quickly. So I noticed his leg was kind of going off funny when he was running the other day, and I thought, not good. So anyhow, we're going to get him healed up from this, and then we'll worry about the lipoma a few weeks after that. I want to give him at least a good 4-week healing recovery. The other thing I want to talk about is, I've been very sick with a kidney infection that's been resistant, and I reflux from years of my deformed kidney is at birth and having in surgeries, and the surgeries not being too successful, where they implanted the tubes into my bladder. And so I'm prone to a lot of kidney infections anyway, and I just kind of take them as a grain of salt, but this one has been a little more trouble for me. And I started with this infection, believe it or not, back in January, the end of January. I picked it up around January 30th, 28th, somewhere in there, before I went into the doctor and had a culture done. And of course, my first culture came back too many bacteria to culture out. And then the next one, I had just gotten off that phosphomycin that's for resistant bladder infections. And it gave a false negative. And then they finally checked it again. And it came back hafnia of alvei, alvei. So it's hafnia, alvei. And I'd been praying to God about, you know, I wish they'd figure out what's going on, why my urine is so yucky looking. And so finally, I prayed over the culture, and the culture report came back. So I'm going to end up going into the emergency room, trying to hit the emergency room when my doctor of infectious disease might be on, and they can call her down to see what she should put me on. This organism, I guess, cephalosporins work, and I'm allergic to them except for cephaloporin. I took that orally, and it did absolutely nothing. So I think they're going to probably end up having to put me in on IVs. So that's why I'm having this little video clip tonight before I go off to the hospital tomorrow. I kind of decided I'm going to cancel my magnesium bolus because they can give it to me in the ER when I'm there. So Gary's going to take my car and get the air conditioner recharged, and then we'll head off down to the hospital where I'm going to go. One of the things that this infection comes from, because I was like, I've never really heard that one. That's a new one to me. It's not the traditional, it's a very rare bacteria. And it comes from eating ground meat. Yes, ground meat, frozen packed meat, as in ground meat or beef, and also dairy, honey, freshwater fish, and pork. Those are the ones that it comes in. And I thought to myself, how interesting that maybe I should become a vegan. And as I sat around today trying to do things, I thought to myself, maybe I ought to become vegan for sure. I've cut back a lot on my meat consumption, but I haven't gone vegan, and I've decided I'm going to have to go vegan. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about this. Um, to have an infection from January to now is a long time. That's why I'm weak and debilitated and just not feeling 100%. At times, my vision is very blurred, probably from the infection. And so I really think that veganism is in my cards right now. I've put an SOS out to my friends online that are vegan to see if they can send me over some decent recipes without things that I'm allergic to. And so I'm waiting for those recipes to drop. So if you're hearing my video clip, please drop me some vegan recipes that might be good for me. Um, I want to say, thinking back of when Daniel came in to the hospital room while my mom was fighting for her life, and he had a message that her rhythm wasn't in her will when she coded. And that really hit me really hard that Daniel from the Lion Den would come in and talk to me, and even her heart doctor saw him in talking to me, said that her rhythm wasn't in her will. Now, I asked him if he wanted to go out to lunch because at that point, it just didn't even dawn on me who I was really talking to. And then as the conversation went on, I realized it was a messenger from God. And I asked, well, do you want to go out and have some lunch? And he said, no, I only eat vegetables, fruit, and nuts. And as I pulled out my Bible, I looked back, and yes, it talks about Daniel's diet sort of being a vegan. And I thought, interesting, very interesting that he was a vegan back then. And so I think this bacteria is an old bacteria. It's been around for a long time. And I got thinking, I wonder how many of my vegan friends have had run ins with bacteria from animals. And is our government not doing enough to keep us safe from patrolling the meat packaging plants where the meat is coming from? And I sat down, I said to my brother, I says, with this bacteria, I really don't know um, which place I got it. It could have been the bad undercooked hamburger I had at the hospital that one day. I didn't finish, but I did have one bite of it, and it was pink, and I was very upset, and I didn't finish it. And then I said it could have been my meat at, the local grocery store that we buy from at Meijer's, which, my cousin bought there a long time and served us a lot of food through the years from there when we would get together for family meals. So I can't believe it would be that store. And then I got thinking, well, I order, mastacholi and meatballs from around the area. So I can't believe it's from any of those places because I've been ordering there for quite a few years. So where did this come from? So then I got thinking, well, maybe it's coming from the meat packaging plants that they're not having the inspections that they used to have, or maybe there's some changes that we don't know about as a society. So I'm just going to throw that out there and leave that out there for people to mull over. But I've been a very sick girl with this infection. And my doctors have thrown at least 7 or 8 antibiotics at me. Let's see. I could count all of them that I've been at. Nitrofurantoin didn't work. Clindamycin didn't work. Cephalosporin didn't work. Then we went to phosphomycin. That didn't work. I decided to start taking cranberry pills to see if that would help. 500 milligram of cranberry pills twice a day. And here's my cranberry pills. And that didn't help. I did Usayurvi. I don't know. I might not be pronouncing it right, but my chiropractor always swore by this if you have an infection. So I had some of this that I had just picked up. Usna, Uva, Urni, this stuff for bladder infections. And it's USNEA, UVAURSI. And I get it from my chiropractor's office. And that didn't work. And I thought, oh boy, this is not good, because usually if none of the antibiotics work that I take, this will knock it out. And it didn't even knock it out. And so then I went, my doctors were talking, the family doctors that I see, there's 2 of them in the practice. They were kind of discussing that maybe I should go see my urologist. So I called and made an appointment and got in with his partner, and he put me on doxycycline, and that didn't even work. And that's like, I talked to him. I said, well, I used to take Noroxen and Nagram, but Obama got hold of the documents and he got rid of those two drugs stupidly. Yeah, yeah, it is. I'm going to call it what it is. These people have no idea what they're doing out there. They have these people that every year they have a formulary and they decide what to take out of a formulary. Now, this is my healthcare pothole. So they just go around and with their red marker, they say, no, we're not going to pay for that. We're not going to pay for that. We're not going to. And they don't know what they're taking off of the formulary because A, they're not a physician that has knowledge of what to do. And I'm not considering Hootenanny that was in there that messed up COVID. I'm not mentioning names, but you know who I'm talking about. So I don't know if he's part of the package deal that X'd out things from Medicare or just who did it, but somebody did it that had no business doing what they did. There was nothing wrong with Nagram, nothing wrong with Noroxen. They need to put those drugs back in the formulary. They need to put Cytomel back in the formulary because when you have thyroid problems, you need your Cytomel and your thyroid because that's the best thing, especially after surgery. They don't like to put you right away on Synthroid, and if you have a problem with the binder, and then you have to go back to the original stuff. And they only want to cover one of the pills for the original, and you need both for the water because the thyroid and the parathyroid control your water balance. Very important to have that balance. So see, they have people doing things with formularies. They have no business Xing out things. And that's always been my pet peeve with insurance companies. Now, whether it's coming from the insurance people, whether it's coming from whatever, but I do know that during the Obama administration is when my Nagram and Noroxen left. And I was able to get it compounded, but I don't even think I can get it compounded now. Now we're throwing in problems with China, and I don't know what we're not going to be able to get or what we're going to be able to get, but I'm telling you, our country needs to start making antibiotics here for people. End of conversation, because we need to have things brought back to our American side and start working on it. So, even your Nike sneakers, if you like them, I don't, but other people do. So, um, anyhow, but I'm just saying that that's where I've been for the last 4 months, is fighting this really bad, horrendous bladder infection from this bad organism that comes from ground meat that's not being probably inspected. I eat more ground meat than I do pork. Once in a blue moon, on Easter, I might have ham, but this year I didn't even do ham. So we actually almost had a vegan meal that day. So anyhow, I just wanted to say that, think about things. Um, I just, I'm floored that this happened, but I think Daniel was giving me a message when he left out the door of my mom's hospital room that he eats fruit, vegetables, and nuts. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I can go buy that Nature's Balance or Balance of Nature, whatever that pill is that that guy advertises on TV with the fruit and the veggies. And I'm thinking, well, gee, I could just go get that and take that and not have to worry about fixing anything, and I'd be home free. I could get rid of everything out of my house. Except for the $95 it costs to buy it, minus the discounts that they may have or whatever it is nowadays. That was a little while ago. I checked when my dad was alive, so that was like 2 years ago. I checked to see what that was because I thought, you know what? These guys here in my house don't eat a lot of fruit and veggies, and we need to get more fruit and veggies in our diet. So maybe this is God's way of telling me I need to eat healthier. So I'm going to take him up on that and listen to him and what he's saying because I want to get better, number one. I'm tired of being this sick, and maybe there's something to that. But at least I found out it wasn't coming from my mold in my attic, which is a good thing. I still have other symptoms from that, though, sinus and stuff like that, which I think is coming from the mold from the attic. We're sort of working on that problem, so hopefully things will get worked out. Anyhow, that's where I'm at. So just wanted to let you know that. So anyhow, I'm sure in Daniel you'll find some interesting things about his diet, and that's where we're coming from. So, the Bible, I had took a weight loss class many years ago with a friend of mine, and they talked about certain food selections in the Bible and where they were and everything. And I don't know whatever happened to those tapes, but I'm sure they're packed up somewhere in my basement. But um, it was all on weight loss. So you can find a lot of things about food in the Bible. If you're really doing a study, that's one of the things that you can find to help work on your weight loss and control it. And one of the things I did to lose my weight, and I went from, am I embarrassed to say, 315 pounds down to between 255 and 260. I bounced in there with water weight. And I went to, instead of the big dinner plates, I went down to a smaller dinner plate. And that was one of the things I learned in that class that I took, is to go down to the smaller one. Now, I just saw a guy the other day on TV talking about his weight loss. He had lost like 45 pounds, and he did it by eating fast food McDonald's, just picked McDonald's, and he lost his weight. And you know what he did? He cut his burger in two, his fries in two, everything in half. And that's how he lost his weight. And then he would eat the other half at night. And I thought, that's interesting because, if I go somewhere, I'll just get a burger and I won't get anything else with it. So technically, I am cutting back on my volume to lose. And you just have to be mindful, because when you think about when someone goes in for gastric bypass, what's the first thing they do when they do that is they're cutting their portions way down. And I mean way down. And it's, to me, I love food too much, but I would rather just go to a smaller plate, not go back for seconds, and be done, and that's what I have. So whatever I put on my plate is what I have. And that cuts you down to maybe a cup and a half of food, maybe 2 cups, and that's the right portion. So also being diabetic, it's cutting portion control back down too, and it's helping with weight loss. And I still have about another, I'm going to say 55 pounds I want to lose, maybe 60, and then I'll be right at my goal weight and I'll be happy with that. So, but I've been doing this for quite a few years to get down, so I don't put it right back on. And yes, you can have your cheat and do fine. So I just wanted to let you know that. So I hope everybody has a good evening, and stay safe. Be sure that if you're sick, go see your doctor, get checked out, have tests run if you need to. Very important that you work with your healthcare provider. I've been working with mine, and I sent my culture report over today to my infectious disease doctor from my urologist because he doesn't post it online. And I also asked my doctor's office to call and get it from my urologist so he would have a copy of it and what it showed. And I also told him what it said. So he has that report as well. So, anyhow, listen to your doctor. It's okay to get a second opinion and go from there. Okay? Have a good evening, and we'll talk later.